The St. Louis Cardinals winning streak is snapped at 9 after a hard-fought loss to the Phillies, which had plenty of learning lessons littered throughout.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on X at JD Sports Radio. You can also follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Hit that notification button so you don't miss out on anything. We're available on TikTok and Instagram as well at Locked On Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. A future Cardinals Hall of Famer officially announced his retirement on Wednesday morning. So we are going to talk about Matt Carpenter a little bit later. But we start today with the end of the winning streak because we had a doubleheader in Philadelphia. And so we got to talk about both games. I realized game 2, a lot more exciting and a lot more offense and much happier vibes surrounding that one. But we had 2 games, so we got to talk about both of them. You had the rain out on Tuesday, which forced the Cardinals and Phillies back a day, which is a bummer because the Cardinals had all that momentum, right? They're riding this wave of winning, 9 in a row and all the momentum after their win on Monday night where they beat the Phillies. And to have to wait an extra day to get back on the field, I don't know, maybe it breaks up some of that momentum just a little bit. I don't know if that is a thing or not. But it was still a heck of a ball game. It's not like the Cardinals came out and laid an egg in game 1 on Wednesday. A heck of a ball game. Phillies come from behind late to win it by a score of 2-1. Similar to how things went on Monday. 3-2 ball game there. Very tight. Good pitching. Timely hitting, some things that the Cardinals, obviously, they're a young team, and there are some lessons that I'm going to bring up a little bit later. Some things small things that they'll learn from these mistakes that they made. But pitching, as we've said over and over, has been the key to this streak. So I want to start with Erick Fedde, who got the ball for the Birds, and although he wasn't in the same groove as he was, his last outing when he threw a complete game shutout against the Nationals, he was still awfully good in this game. He goes 5 2/3 innings. He doesn't allow a run. He gives up just 3 hits. The walks were back, which is something that he's been working on, and last couple games he's been a lot better at, but they were back. 4 walks in this one, 2 in the final frame that he pitched in, and he struck out 3. He's not a strikeout guy, so like when he had 8 strikeouts the other night, that's like not normal. He did get an assist from Steven Matz to get out of that 6th inning when he left the game with 2 runners on and 1 out. But Matz came in, or 2 on and 2 out. Sorry, 2 on and 2 out. But Matt struck out his guy to end the threat, so that was nice. So if you're not counting at home, and I don't think you are, that's what I'm here for. I got you covered. Erick Fedde's scoreless streak count is now sitting at 16 2/3 innings. Is that right? 14 2/3 innings. I was like, wait a minute, that looks like a typo to me. So you had the 9 that he had against the Nationals, and then you had the 5 2/3 that he threw against the Phillies on Wednesday. So that would equal out to 14. I don't know why I typed it that way. But anyway, Fedde got 6 ground outs, a couple of flyouts. One was a Bryce Harper shot that looked like it was going to go way out. That was going to go way over the wall off the bat of Harper, but it ended up dying on the warning track. Thank you to the crappy weather conditions in Philly early on. It knocked that one down. Apparently the wind was blowing in. I heard Chip talking about it during the telecast. And he was like, wind's blowing in, and also it killed like 33 feet off of because he hit it so high. So 33 feet got knocked off of how far it was really going to go, and that's why it ended up being an out. So Fedde was able to dodge some bullets a couple of different times in this game. He walked the leadoff hitter in the 3rd, but that was a race after Victor Scott II made a great running catch in center field, doubles up the runner at first base. Bryce Harper doubled down the line and right to start the 4th inning. Schwarber lines out to center, moving Harper to 3rd with 1 out. Ali brings the infield in, and Mason Wynn makes an outstanding play, diving to his right to keep the Nick Castellanos grounder on the infield, keeps the runner from scoring. because it doesn't get past him. They throw him out, and then they get Kepler to ground out to Donnie over at second pace, and they're out of it, out of the threat once again. So Fedde had some dudes on, and he was working hard to get through these innings without, getting pummeled, and giving up any runs. Then in the sixth inning, he ends up walking the leadoff guy, this time after being up in the count 0-2, which, that makes it even more annoying. And it's the one guy you really don't want to walk in the Phillies lineup because it's Trey Turner. He's very fast. He can steal bases off you. He's going to try to take second, which he did successfully. And he's also hitting in front of, Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos. So a lot of big bats following him. And he steals second, so now you got a runner in scoring position. Nobody's out. So they conceded the walk to Harper after he fell behind in the count. And Cardinals killer Kyle Schwarber steps in, and Fedde falls behind him 2-0. So now you're just waiting for it. You're waiting for the Schwarber bomb to happen. And it doesn't. Fedde gets the pop-up on the infield. Pops out to Nato over at third. A huge out. Still got some work to do, though, right? Not out of the woods yet. Next is Castellanos, another Cardinal killer over the years, specifically in his time with the Cincinnati Reds. And after a 7-pitch battle, he gets him to pop out as well. Pops up to shortstop. Mason Wynn makes the catch. That's when Ollie pops out of the dugout. And he goes to Steven Matz to face the lefty Kepler, who, as I mentioned, struck him out looking already. So a huge chain of events right there to get out of that inning. Harry Houdini, the famous, is he a magician? Do we consider a magician? He's more like an escape artist, right? Anyway, Harry Houdini would have been proud how he escaped from that one. The numbers aren't eye-popping for Erick Fedde. But if you consider the lineup, who he was going up against, Phillies have a good one. You consider the ballpark that he's in, although kind of helped him out on that Bryce Harper fly ball. You got to kind of tip your cap to Fedde, man. Another excellent start and gave his team a chance to win. Unfortunately, things would get a little wonky in that seventh inning where the Cardinals go up and then they go right back down. And that's where this game was decided. We're going to talk about that next, coming up on Locked On Cardinals. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action, and you should be doing it with FanDuel. They make it easy to stay in the game. Before tip-off, obviously, you can go through everything and decide what you're interested in. And you can also do live bets with the FanDuel app. It's great. Player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans now have more ways than ever to play smart and win big, which is what we all want to do. If you've got a read on a guy who's heating up in a certain series or in a particular game, why not back it up with the same-game parlay? Why wouldn't you do that? Trust your gut. Plenty of stars still to choose from in the NBA playoffs. The Indiana Pacers, they're moving on after knocking off the Cavaliers. OKC and the Nuggets are still going in their series. You got two superstars going one-on-one in that one. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, the Joker, one of my favorite nicknames. So much fun to watch both these guys do their thing, and they're fun to bet on because they do a lot of different stuff, a lot of stats going through those two guys. So I highly recommend trying them. New to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. What I want you to do is head to FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet. If that wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. So let's go to the seventh inning of Game 1 of this doubleheader against the Phillies. Cardinals are finally able to break through in the seventh inning. A lot of credit to Phillies starter Jesus Luzardo. Awesome. He was awesome. He's been one of the best pitchers in the league this year. You saw the potential when he was with the Miami Marlins. You saw how good he was. Some injuries kept derailing certain seasons for him. And now he looks healthy again. He's on a good team in Philadelphia. Sky's the limit for Jesus Luzardo right now. And you saw his full arsenal on display in Game 1. He was outstanding. And coming into the seventh inning, he shut out the Cardinals for 6 innings. This is a good Cardinals offense, right? Shuts them out. Allows just 3 hits. Things are looking good. But you know how it is. You get later in a game and you start seeing the lineup a third time around. People start to pick up on some things. And Luzardo was starting to look a little tired, honestly. I was surprised that he came back out for the 7th inning, but it's a doubleheader. So you're trying to stretch your starter as much as you can. So I kind of get it, but he looked gassed to me. This inning is when Ivan Herrera rips a double to left field. And then with 2 outs, you get Jordan Walker stepping up to the plate. He pulls the changeup into the hole between short and third. Herrera, who was running quite well, might I add. He's been doing a lot of running since getting back from that bone bruise in his knee, but he's looked good running the bases so far. Ends up scoring from second base. And again, this is a ground ball into the hole that gets into the outfield in left field. So that's a short throw. But wet ball, wasn't hit super hard or anything. So they make the right call. Pop Warner, good call. Brings Herrera in. Cardinals take the lead 1-0. Now, the Cardinals did have some minor hiccups in this game. What have we been talking about during this streak? How they've been playing some very clean baseball, smart baseball. They're making the right plays. They're making the right decisions. And in this game, few hiccups. And this isn't me bitching and moaning and being like, you guys stink. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying there's a few plays in this game where things could have gotten out of hand in the Phillies' favor. Earlier in the game, you had a ball that falls in between Victor Scott and Jordan Walker in center and right field. That can't happen. On that play, Victor Scott clearly is in range of catching this ball. It's got to be his ball. He has to call off Jordan Walker. Somehow, some way, he's got to get Jordan to peel off, and he's got to take that. That's the center fielder's job. You get everything you can get your glove on, and Victor Scott can get his glove on a whole lot out there in center field. Covers a lot of ground. So, obviously, they even showed afterwards, John Jay, Erick Fedde, they come over. Hey, we'll get him. No big deal. We got out of the inning. No problem. So, it's not like they were like, what are you doing? It is a learning moment, right? Young team. Mason Wynn gets picked off at first base, was going on first movement when this happened because Luzardo had already thrown over twice to first base, but that ends up costing you a runner, right? The leadoff walks by Fedde are obviously a big no-no. The 8th inning, the Cardinals had first and second, nobody out with the heart of their order coming up, and they failed to score. Donnie grounds out after failing to get the bunt down, still moved them over, did his job, which was great, still moved him over, got the ground ball to the right side of the infield, so no harm there. But then Arenado pops up on a 2-0 pitch into foul territory to Bryce Harper. That was gross. And then Contreras strikes out. Boom, out of the inning, threats over. A lot of these things, when you're watching these games, they seem minor. They seem very, very minor. And I get it. Like, we're being very picky here about things that didn't go right for the Cardinals in this game. But when they all happen in one game, eventually it adds up and they end up costing you at some point. So there was another play, another learning moment, and it's the bottom of the 7th. Phillies get a 1-out single. Next hitter also singles to right field. Jordan Walker had to cut it off in the gap. He's running towards center field and has to cut it off in the gap. So the momentum is taking him towards center field. He's not coming towards the infield here. And the runner on first reads it well, hits second, takes off and goes to third. And Jordan Walker, instead of hitting his cutoff man or just throwing it into second base, which is the smart play, tries to make the hero throw to get the guy at third base. And it's not even close. The guy's safe. Arenado, being having the awareness that he does, sees that the guy who got the hit, he's taken off going to second base. So Nato zips it on down over to second base to try to get the hitter there. Thought we had him. Originally, he was called out, which would have been huge, obviously, because that would have gave him 2 outs. But instead, it's overturned, and it's now second and third with 1 out. Not really sure when it comes to that because I know Cardinal fans were not thrilled with that call being overturned. I was a little surprised it got overturned as well. I did not see conclusive evidence because the call on the field was out. Apparently there's an angle or something that they have that showed that he got his hand in there. I didn't see it watching the game, but whatever. They overturned it, and so now you got second and third. So with that throw, by not making the smart decision by hitting your cutoff man, this is basic baseball stuff. Hitting your cutoff man, making the smart throw, going to second base. Whoever is out there to be the cutoff man is supposed to be yelling 2-2-2-2 or whatever. It eliminates the double play because the throw went through, and it puts another guy in scoring position. So a really bad choice. And I'm sure it's something that John Jay and Ollie will talk to Jordan Walker about. Now, had it been hit right at Jordan, like if it was like a seed right at him, and his momentum would have been coming towards the infield, might have had an actual chance because he's got an absolute thunderbolt of an arm out there in right field. But that wasn't what happened. You know, it was taking him away from the infield just out of smart play. Got overly aggressive. This is the type of play that Tom Hanks yelled at Evelyn for in A League of Their Own that made the poor lady cry. You know, the whole scene where there's no crying. That's how this starts because she throws to the wrong base. So you got to use your head in those situations. Got to use your head. The next hitter ends up grounding one up the middle. Donnie makes this great play to knock it down, but the run scores. He had to leave his feet to knock it down. Run scores. And if you think about it, and again, this is like, you know, hindsight, but if that runner's at first and he's not at second, the infield's not in, they're at double play depth. And if you get that same ground ball, maybe they turn a double play and the inning's over. But instead, it brings up Trey Turner, who ends up popping out. So they get that out. But Bryce Harper ends up blooping one into center field. And when it came off the bat, I thought there's no way Victor Scott's not going to catch this ball. But Victor, they were playing pretty deep because they didn't want the ball to get over their head. So they were a little deeper than normal. And he wasn't able to get in there and make the catch. Mason Wynn almost had the over-the-head basket catch, but it makes it 2-1. Essentially, that decides the game. You know, the Cardinals didn't play a bad game by any means. Again, I'm being very picky about this stuff. It was just another outstanding game between these two teams. It was a lot of fun to watch. It had you on the edge of your seat because it was one of those games. Again, if you saw this game in a playoff series in October, you'd be like, dude, that was one hell of a game. That was fun. It just happened to go the Phillies' way this time. Game 1 on Monday in the series went to the Cardinals. This one goes to the Phillies. The Cardinals made some mistakes. Younger teams often make mistakes like these. You don't dwell on it. You don't. You got to learn from it. You got to grow from it so that next time when these certain situations come up, and they will happen again, you'll be better prepared. And that's all you're asking for, right? No reason to hang your head. No reason to feel bad about it. Reports are the team was not down even the slightest after having their winning streak snapped and after losing for the first time since May 3rd. Reports are they were upbeat. They were eager to get back out there, and lucky for them, they had a game 2 that was coming up just a couple hours later. So there wasn't a lot of time to really think about it in the first place. You just kind of like, all right, let's get something to eat and let's relax a little, and then back at it game 2, which, oh boy, did they come back at it in game 2 a couple of hours later. We are going to tackle that game. We're going to be doing it in a separate episode, though, because we got to unpack a whole lot that went on in that one. Obviously, it was a big game for the Cardinals that I'm not going to sit here and not, and tease you about it, but they come back down 5-1 in the first inning, end up kicking the snot out of the Phillies 14-7. It was beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. So we'll talk about that game in our next episode, but we're going to wrap this one up with some thoughts on the retirement of future Cardinals Hall of Famer Matt Carpenter. That's coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, be sure to check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Again, I'm one of the hosts that is in rotation. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, I host it along with John Frisch from the Locked On Angels podcast. So we have a good time and enjoy ourselves talking about all the games around the league. So if you haven't seen it yet, come on by, say hi. Matt Carpenter announced his retirement from Major League Baseball on Wednesday. Now, Matt Carpenter, obviously one of the fan favorites. Look at him there on like a 4th of July game or something. Like, just exudes coolness. But he announced his retirement from Major League Baseball on Wednesday. 3-time All-Star, during a 14-year career. 12 of those were spent with the St. Louis Cardinals. This is a guy that was never supposed to be a superstar by any means. 13th round pick out of TCU back in 2009. Worked his way up to the big leagues by 2011, so fairly quickly moved through the minor leagues and was immediately a fan favorite. People just were drawn to him. They liked him. They liked his energy, the fact that he didn't wear batting gloves, and he was just a very Cardinal type of player. That's the best way to describe Matt Carpenter. John Denton did a write-up about him at MLB.com saying some of the best moments of Carpenter's career came during the playoffs, which obviously we know very, very clutch. I still remember that double that he hit. Was it a double or a triple? The double, I think, that he hit off of Clayton Kershaw out in L.A. You see that on the highlight tapes all the time, which that was such a huge moment. Boy, the Cardinals just tormented Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs, didn't they? But anyway, in his playoff career, Matt Carpenter, 6 home runs, drove in 21 runs in 56 postseason games, made his MLB debut in 2011, received the World Series championship ring, but did not appear in the postseason game that season. Did lead the Cardinals to the 2013 World Series, during which he went 8 for 27 with a double, 2 RBIs in that series loss to the Red Sox, which is still one of those teams where you're like, that's one of the greatest teams to not win the World Series. Like, they were better than Boston that year, and it just Boston was on a heater. Carpenter's most productive seasons came in 2013, 2015, and 2018. 2013, he goes bonkers with a .318 batting average. I think he led the league in doubles that year with 55, 11 home runs, 78 RBIs, finished 4th in the voting for the NL MVP award. Hit 28 home runs at a career best 36 long balls in 2015 and 18. So we had 28 home runs in 2015, career best 36 in 2018, finished 12th and 9th in NL MVP voting in those years. And that year that he hit 36, if you guys remember, it was all about salsa. That was the big thing, right? It was the secret salsa. When he made his own salsa, and then everyone thought that was like the lucky charm. You know how the Blues just had Joe Boo in their locker room. There's always something, right, when these teams are doing well. And for Matt Carpenter that year, it was this salsa that he was making. I don't know how much he made. I don't know how much he ate. But whatever it was that season, it was working. He had another famous hot streak after landing in the Bronx during the 2022 season, when on June 12th, he became the first Yankee to hit 6 or more home runs in his first 10 games with the team. And then he broke the team record for home runs in a player's first 30 games with the Yankees, hitting 2 3-run home runs against the Red Sox on July 16th. 13 home runs, broke the team record previously set by Kevin Moss in 1990. People who collect baseball cards will remember Kevin Moss, the lefty that just looked like he had the perfect swing for Yankee Stadium and landed on the scene and was just like the hottest hitter ever, and then vanished, just disappeared. Then also Glenn Allen Hill in 2000. Glenn Allen Hill, the most famous thing he did was the one where he hit it out of Wrigley, like just an absolute tank. But unfortunately, the fairy tale came to an end in early August for Carpenter that year with the Yankees. Fouled a pitch right off his foot, broke it, and it essentially knocked him out for almost the rest of the season. Went to the Padres the next 2 years, but never found that same success again. Got traded to the Braves, but never played for them. And most forget that he was actually, before he became a Yankee, the Texas Rangers had him on a minor league deal. He did some work with Matt Holliday, former Cardinal and good friend, Matt Holliday, to get his swing back, and he got fitted for a new bat, and things went well for him and the Yankees after that. But the Rangers had him on a minor league deal before releasing him, and that's when he went berserk with the Yankees that year. Comes back to the Cardinals last year as a bench guy and a mentor for the younger players. Would love to see him back in a Cardinal uniform as a coach someday. That would be great if he's ever interested in it. I'm glad he got to end his career as a Cardinal. He'll be eligible for entry into the Cardinals Hall of Fame coming up in 2028, which sounds like a made-up date to me, but that's where we are in the world right now. 2028. Wow. Matt Carpenter. Could be. It's got to be at some point. I don't know if he gets in the first year, but eventually he'll be wearing that red jacket. Great career. Great guy. No batting gloves. Exceptional facial hair. Had an incredible batting eye. Like, if you never saw Matt Carpenter play, and you know how Lars Nootbaar's got a really good eye at the plate, that's how Matt Carpenter was too. Like, it'd be a centimeter off, and he'd be like, ball. He would just spit on it. It was so good. Reinvented himself a couple of times to lengthen his career. truly a great professional, a great Cardinal. Again, congratulations on a successful career, and I can't wait to see him wearing the red jacket at some point in the near future. We will be covering Game 2 of this doubleheader, which was awesome for the Cardinals. Not so good for the Phillies fans, but for the Cardinals, a horrible start for Sonny Gray. He was terrible. Aaron Nola was just as terrible, and the Cardinals took advantage of it. A lot of offense, a lot of firepower, a lot of fun. We will talk about Game 2 of this doubleheader coming up in our next episode. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Also on TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Please like, subscribe, if I could speak English, on YouTube to help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. Cubs lost to the Marlins, by the way. Means the Cardinals are back within one game of first place in the NL Central. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.